Rain dripped steadily from rusted gutters as Whiskers, the alley's oldest tomcat, prowled beneath flickering neon signs. Word had spread fast, Goldie's prized fish was missing. The alley cats gathered in hushed clusters, whispering in the gloom, their eyes darting nervously toward the shadows. Whiskers' nose twitched sharply. He'd seen cases like this before, greed, hunger, desperation tangled in the night. He padded carefully to the scene. A tipped bowl, water glistening on cracked pavement, and a single golden scale left behind. He sniffed the air deeply. Sardine oil. Unmistakable. Only one cat in the neighborhood indulged in such luxury. Mittens, the pampered house cat with a notorious taste for trouble. Whiskers found her perched atop a trash can, nonchalantly licking her paws. "Looking for something, old man?" she purred, eyes gleaming with mischief. Whiskers narrowed his gaze. "Only what's missing," he replied quietly. His sharp eyes caught a tiny glimmer beneath her tail. The golden fish, alive and trembling in a shallow puddle. Mittens smirked, but Whiskers' stare was relentless, unyielding. She sighed, nudged the fish toward him with a reluctant paw, and slunk away into the shadows. Whiskers gently scooped up the fish and returned it to Goldie's bowl. The alley settled once more. Justice, in its small, quiet way, had been served. On a windy afternoon, Lila's favorite blue button popped from her coat and spun away, tumbling off her balcony. Instead of falling to the street below, the button landed softly on the sloping roof of the bakery next door. There, it basked in the warm smell of fresh bread and sweet pastries before a curious magpie swooped down and snatched it up, mistaking it for a sparkling jewel. The magpie soared high over chimneys and antennas, gliding above the bustling town, then accidentally dropped the button onto a gardener's shed. As rain began to fall, tapping a gentle rhythm on the shingles, the button slid along the wet surface, finally coming to rest in a soft patch of moss. A sleek cat prowling the rooftops spotted the button and pawed at it playfully, sending it bouncing like a skipping stone across the tiles and into a narrow gutter. The next morning, a sudden gust of wind lifted the button from the gutter and sent it flying onto the school roof, where it glimmered brightly in the morning sun. When Lila climbed up to her attic to search, she spotted her button sparkling from afar. With a broom in hand and a dash of courage, she carefully rescued her adventurous button, sewing it back onto her coat. Now it whispers tales of rooftops, rain, and the wild city sky every time she wears it. In the dim corridors of the old house, Anna's footsteps echoed softly against the worn wooden floor. Her parents were busy unpacking boxes downstairs, leaving her free to explore the unfamiliar rooms alone. As she wandered, she paused before a wall crowded with ancient portraits, their frames ornate and dust-covered. At first, she admired the swirling brushstrokes and faded colors, imagining the lives behind each painted face. Then, she heard it, a faint, breathy whisper that seemed to drift from the canvas itself. Anna's heart thudded in her chest. She leaned closer, and the whispers grew clearer, weaving through the silence like a gentle breeze. "Anna!" one voice called, soft but urgent. The painted eyes seemed to follow her every move. "Help us!" pleaded another, lips frozen in a painted smile that now felt uneasy. Anna reached out, her fingers trembling as they brushed the cool surface of the canvas, which felt almost alive beneath her touch. Suddenly, the portraits began to murmur in unison, their words tumbling together. "Don't leave us in the dark." Anna stumbled back, startled, but her curiosity anchored her in place. She returned every day, drawn by the voices, listening to their stories, tales of laughter, secrets, and longing trapped forever in oil and canvas. The house no longer felt empty or silent. The whispers became her secret companions, echoing softly through the halls, waiting patiently for someone to truly listen. In the heart of the bustling town stood a grand bell tower, its clock long silent, its gears frozen and coated with years of dust. The city's residents missed its chimes, once marking each hour with steady certainty, a comforting rhythm in their daily lives. Young Elin, apprentice to the old clockmaker, watched as townsfolk passed by, glancing up in hope and nostalgia. One misty morning, her mentor fell ill, leaving Elin alone in the dusty workshop filled with ticking devices and scattered tools. Determined not to let the town's heartbeat fade, she gathered her worn tools and climbed the winding, creaking stairs of the bell tower. Inside, the clock's massive gears loomed, tangled and rusted from neglect. Elin studied the intricate mechanisms carefully, recalling lessons whispered over countless evenings by candlelight. With trembling hands, she cleaned, oiled, and adjusted each part, her heart pounding with every tentative tick that returned. As dawn broke, she replaced the final cog and gently pushed the pendulum into motion. The clock sprang to life, its hands moving steadily, its bell ringing out clear and strong over the rooftops. Below, the townspeople cheered, their faces bright with joy. Elin smiled quietly, knowing she'd restored more than just time. She'd given her city hope and a renewed sense of unity. At the heart of Clockwork Forest, gears ticked softly beneath mossy roots, and copper leaves shimmered faintly in the twilight. Lost toys wandered beneath the boughs, forgotten bears with threadbare fur, tin soldiers with chipped paint, ragged dolls with missing buttons, each searching for a way back home. Suddenly, the quiet was broken by a gentle whirring sound. From a branch above, a small bird of brass and silver spread its winding key wings. Its eyes glowed with a soft blue light as it chirped a delicate melody that echoed through the metallic trees. The toys gathered, drawn by a flicker of hope. The bird fluttered down, landing gracefully among them, and with a tilt of its head, beckoned them to follow. Through winding paths and clockwork glades, the bird led them carefully, pausing whenever a toy stumbled, always patient, always kind. Gears spun quietly underfoot, casting golden sparks that lit the way. At last, a hidden clearing opened before them, where a gate of polished cogs awaited. The bird sang once more, and the gate swung open smoothly, revealing a glowing path home. One by one, each toy crossed, their hearts mended, guided safely by their gentle guardian through the enchanted forest. At the stroke of midnight, the manor's halls echoed with a peculiar ticking sound. Lady Penrose awoke suddenly to find her prized sapphire missing from its velvet cushion. Panic swept through the household. Servants were questioned, doors were locked, and suspicions quietly rose among the staff. Yet in the dimly lit study, perched atop the ornate mantelpiece, sat the clockwork sparrow, an intricate mechanical bird, its brass feathers glinting softly in the flickering candlelight. With a gentle whir, it sprang to life, scanning the room with shining emerald eyes that seemed almost alive. It hopped carefully to the spilled ink pot, dipped its tiny beak, and traced delicate footprints across a nearby notepad. The butler's muddy boots had left a faint residue, invisible to all but the sparrow's sharp gaze. The bird fluttered silently down the long corridor, following the scent of oil and earth to a hidden compartment cleverly concealed within the grandfather clock. With a delicate twist of its beak, the secret door sprang open, revealing the sapphire nestled safely inside. Lady Penrose gasped in delight as the butler, caught by the clever machine's evidence, confessed his crime. The manor soon settled into peaceful silence once more. The clockwork sparrow perched proud and vigilant, ready to solve the next midnight mystery with swift precision. Elliot's bright red kite soared high above the wide meadow, tugging hard on its string as the wind danced playfully. Suddenly, a wild gust snapped the string free, sending the kite tumbling toward the shadowy trees at the edge of the enchanted forest. Elliot hesitated, recalling the whispered tales of strange creatures and magic, but his longing to retrieve the kite outweighed his fear. He plunged into the cool, dappled light beneath the canopy, leaves crunching softly underfoot. The kite's tail fluttered just ahead, teasing him with every step. As Elliot ventured deeper, the trees grew taller, and their branches wove a thick green ceiling overhead. Strange flowers glowed faintly at his feet, and the air shimmered with the songs of unseen birds. The forest seemed alive, humming with a gentle magic that both thrilled and calmed him. After winding through twisting paths, he finally spotted his kite tangled high in the branches of a silver-leafed tree. Reaching up, the tree bent gently, lowering the kite into his outstretched hands. A soft voice rustled through the leaves, whispering, "Thank you for your kindness." Elliot looked around, but saw only the smiling tree. His heart pounding with wonder, he clutched his kite tightly and hurried home, the forest's magic lingering in his mind forever. In the heart of the greenest pond, Felix the frog dreamed of soaring farther than any frog before him. Each dawn, as the mist curled above the water, Felix practiced his jumps with unwavering focus. He studied the graceful arc of leaping dragonflies, the rhythmic bounce of grasshoppers, and the gentle ripple of wind on lily pads. Day after day, he tweaked his takeoff, adjusted his landing, and tested different rhythms, always seeking improvement. The other frogs watched, puzzled by his dedication. Why not just leap for flies and fun? But Felix wasn't chasing a meal, he was chasing pure joy. One crisp morning, as the sun painted the sky gold, Felix crouched low, eyes fixed on a distant lily pad. He sprang with all he'd learned, feeling the wind rush past his skin and the thrill of flight. He soared higher and farther than ever before, landing squarely on the pad with a triumphant splash. The pond erupted in cheers. Felix grinned, not for the applause, but for the bliss of perfecting his joyful jump. His heart soared higher than any leap, knowing he had found true happiness in every bound.
Imagine walking along a moonlit riverbank when suddenly the chilling wails of a woman pierce the night. This is the legend of La Llorona, the Weeping Woman, a ghostly figure said to haunt rivers and lakes throughout Latin America. According to folklore, La Llorona was once a beautiful woman named Maria, whose heartbreak and jealousy drove her to drown her own children in a fit of rage. Overcome with guilt, she wandered the earth searching for them, her cries echoing through the night. Unable to find peace, her spirit became a warning to others. Her sobs, "Ay, mis hijos," or "Oh my children," foretell doom for those who hear them. Variations of the legend exist, with some tales suggesting she targets unfaithful men or children who stray too far from home. Historians believe La Llorona's origins might be rooted in Aztec mythology, where spirits of mourning women roamed the earth, or in real accounts of mothers who suffered tragic fates. To this day, parents use her story to keep children away from dangerous waters, and many claim to have heard her cries late at night, forever searching, forever weeping.
In the heart of a crumbling castle, a single candle flickered on a dusty stone altar, its golden light dancing in the gloom. As midnight settled, the wind howled through shattered windows, yet the candle's flame stubbornly refused to die. Mara, a curious wanderer drawn by whispered rumors, crept cautiously through the silent, echoing halls. She paused before the candle, feeling its gentle warmth brush her cheek like a faint breath from the past. Suddenly, the flame stretched taller, casting shadows that twisted and shifted into shapes. Knights in armor, queens with sorrowful eyes, and lost children from forgotten times. Each shadow whispered a secret, a hidden door beneath the throne, a love letter tucked inside a cracked brick, a treasure buried beneath the ancient courtyard yew tree. Mara listened intently, her heart pounding with wonder and fear as the flame flickered and faltered. With a soft, mournful sigh, the candle shrank to a glowing ember. Its final secret, barely audible, urged her to look beneath the altar. Kneeling, Mara pried loose a heavy stone and discovered a weathered locket, inside which lay a tiny, faded portrait and a single, ancient key. The castle's last candle had shared every secret it held, passing its whispered legacy to her before fading into darkness.
Imagine pouring your soul into creating beautiful sound, only to lose the very sense that lets you experience it. This was the harsh reality for Ludwig van Beethoven, one of history's most influential musical minds. In his late 20s, he began to notice a faint ringing in his ears and a gradual decline in hearing that would eventually lead to near-total deafness. By his mid-40s, silence had become his constant companion. Yet, instead of surrendering to despair, he transformed adversity into innovation. He pressed a wooden stick between his teeth and the piano, using vibrations to feel each note's resonance. His notebooks filled with scribbles, corrections, and intense musical ideas, as he meticulously crafted works that would shape the future of music. The world remained unaware of his struggle, as he masked his pain with fierce determination and resilience. His most celebrated pieces, including the monumental Ninth Symphony, were composed when he could barely hear a single note. Beethoven's journey stands as a profound testament to the power of the human spirit, how even in silence, the mind can conjure timeless masterpieces that continue to inspire generations.
Under the silver glow of midnight, the bakery on Maple Street slumbered, unaware of the tiny commotion brewing within its walls. 3 clever mice, Pip, Tilly, and Bramble, crept from their hideout behind the flour sacks, whiskers twitching with excitement and hearts pounding with anticipation. Their mission: to snatch the legendary pie recipe guarded by old Mrs. Plum, the baker known far and wide for her unbeatable apple pies that brought joy to the entire town. Pip scaled the towering countertop, carefully dodging a teetering tower of mixing bowls and jars filled with sugar and spice. Tilly tiptoed across a sticky patch of spilled jam, her tiny feet barely making a sound, while Bramble distracted the resident cat with a trail of breadcrumbs leading away from the prize. Atop the sturdy wooden recipe box, Pip unrolled a thin string, lowering it carefully to Tilly, who nimbly tied it around the coveted parchment with practiced ease. Working together, the mice hoisted the secret recipe up, their breaths shallow as the cat's tail flicked dangerously close nearby. Just as Mrs. Plum stirred in her sleep, the trio slipped the precious recipe into their pouch and darted silently into the night, their prize secure and their spirits soaring. By dawn, the mice gathered beneath the old oak tree, celebrating with crumb-sized pie slices, savoring the sweet taste of their well-earned victory, and dreaming of the delicious adventures ahead. Rain streaked the windows of the nearly empty city bus as it rumbled through deserted streets, the night thick with silence. Only 3 passengers sat scattered, each absorbed in their own midnight thoughts, their faces dimly lit by the flickering overhead lights. At the next stop, the doors creaked open, and a figure stepped on board. Dressed in a long, tattered coat, the newcomer's face was hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat pulled low. Without a word, the figure glided to the back and sat perfectly still, hands folded neatly in their lap. The air inside the bus grew colder, and the lights flickered more violently as the bus continued its lonely route. The driver glanced nervously in the rear-view mirror, unease creeping over him. Each time the bus stopped, passengers disembarked quickly, casting anxious glances at the silent presence. Soon, only the driver and the figure remained. The driver cleared his throat, ready to announce the last stop. But the figure silently stood, moved forward with slow, deliberate steps, and stared at him with eyes that seemed to swallow the dim light whole. The driver blinked, and the figure was gone. The bus doors never opened again.
Elliot always took the late shift. The city was quieter at midnight, the roads empty except for the hum of his scooter. That night, his last delivery came from a building he'd never seen before. Tall, gray, with windows like vacant eyes staring into the void. The receptionist handed him a small square package, wrapped in rough brown paper and tied tightly with twine. It was heavier than it looked, and as he placed it carefully in his bag, he noticed a faint, rhythmic ticking coming from inside. "Deliver precisely at 12, the receptionist whispered, her eyes flickering nervously. The address was nearby, just a few blocks away. At 11:59, Elliot stood before a door marked 4C. The ticking grew louder, more insistent. He knocked firmly. No answer. The hallway lights flickered erratically, casting long shadows. Unsure, he set the box gently on the doormat. As he turned to leave, the door creaked open slowly, revealing only darkness within. A cold draft brushed his neck, sending a shiver down his spine. The ticking stopped abruptly. Elliot glanced back. The package was gone. The door eased shut behind him, clicking softly. His phone chimed. Delivery completed. Elliot stared at the blank screen, feeling a chill that lingered long after the night swallowed his footsteps. Like and subscribe for more. Lucy had always thought her cat Nimbus was a little odd. He loved to steal socks, knock over flower pots, and vanish for hours without a trace. But one bright morning, Lucy awoke to find her bedroom in complete chaos. Her pillow lay on the floor, the curtains swayed gently though the windows were closed, and a curious trail of feathers led out the door. She called for Nimbus, but only silence answered. Then, suddenly, the soft sound of purring filled the air right beside her ear. Lucy reached out and felt warm, soft fur brushing her fingers, but when she looked, there was nothing there. Her eyes widened in surprise. Nimbus was invisible. She giggled as unseen paws playfully batted at her hair. The day turned into a whirlwind of mischief. Toys floated mysteriously through the air, strange meows echoed from empty rooms, and food vanished from her plate without explanation. Lucy tried to catch him, but he darted through the house like a ghostly blur, leaving laughter and mayhem in his wake. That night, as she snuggled into bed, Nimbus curled up beside her, purring softly against her cheek. Lucy smiled, knowing that even if she couldn't see her cat, she would always feel his love and his endless mischief. Life with an invisible cat was never dull. On the outskirts of a quiet village, young Elliot spent countless afternoons watching birds glide effortlessly above golden fields. He'd sketch their wings in the dirt, convinced that if he could understand their secrets, he too could soar through the sky. His father's workshop became a sanctuary filled with scattered blueprints, bent wire, and scraps of wood. Through many seasons of trial and error, Elliot crafted a delicate contraption from wood and canvas, its fragile frame held together by hope and careful hands. The villagers, skeptical yet curious, gathered at dawn as Elliot wheeled his creation to the hilltop. With trembling resolve, he climbed aboard and released the brake. The wind caught his wings, and for a breathless moment, Elliot soared above the earth, the fields shrinking beneath him, his heart thundering with triumph. He landed, not far but forever changed, as cheers erupted from the crowd. Elliot's flight inspired others to see possibility where only limitation had lived before. Years later, the world would remember the boy who dared to chase the sky, his childhood wonder reshaping the horizon for generations to come. Every morning, the townsfolk of Willoughby awoke to empty mailboxes. Letters posted the night before always vanished without a trace, leaving the community puzzled and frustrated. The postmaster, Mrs. Penfold, grew increasingly anxious as complaints piled up and trust in the mail system waned. Determined to uncover the cause, she decided to stay late one evening, hiding behind the sorting desk to catch whoever, or whatever, was responsible. As midnight chimed, a faint shimmer filled the dimly lit room. From the old oak stamp resting on the counter, a silvery moth emerged, its wings glistening softly in the moonlight. It danced gracefully above the envelopes, gently touching each with its delicate wings. With every touch, the letters dissolved silently into thin air. Mrs. Penfold gasped, realizing the moth had come from the ancient stamp, a mysterious relic passed down through generations. She quietly followed it as it fluttered outside, leading her to the willow tree at the town's edge. Nestled among the roots, hundreds of unopened letters lay undisturbed, glowing faintly under the moth's light. The moth perched atop them, its glow pulsing gently. Mrs. Penfold carefully gathered the letters and returned them to the townsfolk, who rejoiced at the recovered messages. From that day forward, the stamp was retired, and Willoughby's letters stayed exactly where they belonged, safe and sound.
The old playground stood at the edge of the woods, its rusted swings creaking in the cold wind. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, I walked my dog past the cracked slide and splintered seesaw, always feeling eyes on me. Tonight, though, something was different. I heard it clearly. Children's laughter, bright and echoing, though the place was empty. My dog whimpered, pulling at the leash. But I stepped closer, drawn by the giggles swirling in the chilly air. The swings began to move one by one, as if invisible children were playing. Shadows flickered beneath them, shapeless forms with no bodies, their laughter growing shrill and frantic. A skipping rope thudded rhythmically against the ground, looping by itself, and tiny handprints appeared in the sandpit, pressed deep into the damp earth. I tried to back away, but the laughter twisted into piercing shrieks. Cold, unseen hands gripped my ankles, freezing me in place. The ground beneath me gave way suddenly, and the sand swallowed my legs, inch by inch. As I screamed, the laughter faded, replaced by low, sinister whispers. When the wind stilled, the playground was silent again, except for the new swing, gently swaying, and the faint echo of my own voice joining the others. Like and subscribe for more spooky stories. Have you ever wondered why two people can look at the same situation and totally disagree about what's right and wrong? Imagine you see someone picking up a dollar bill off the sidewalk. Is it okay to keep it, or should you try to find the owner? People's answers can be very different. That's because ideas about right and wrong aren't built into the world like gravity or the sun rising. Instead, we pick them up from our families, cultures, religions, and even our personal experiences. Some people are taught that following rules is the most important thing, while others believe caring for people's feelings matters more. Sometimes, what's right in one country is seen as wrong in another, just because of different traditions and histories. Even friends can argue about what's fair or unfair. Our brains use what we learn growing up to decide what feels right or wrong, mixing facts with feelings and stories. So, when you disagree with someone, it doesn't mean one of you is bad. It means you've learned different things and see the world in your own way. Understanding this can help people have better conversations, respect each other's views, and maybe even find common ground to work together. Hit that like button and subscribe for more thought-provoking insights. The lantern's glow flickered across the battered table as Jed slid his last pouch of gold dust forward. Across from him, black-eyed Silas grinned, a man infamous for his lucky streaks and sharper-than-steel wit. The saloon's air was thick with smoke and anticipation, the murmurs of onlookers barely contained. Jed's hands trembled, not from fear, but from a fierce hope. This was it. One hand to change everything he'd worked for. Silas dealt the cards with practiced ease, eyes never leaving Jed's. 5 cards each, the silence broken only by the soft shuffle and the occasional clink of coins. Jed peeked at his hand, 3 jacks and 2 tens. His heart hammered in his chest. Silas raised an eyebrow, tossing in a silver coin to sweeten the pot. Jed matched it, eyes narrowing with determination. "Call," Jed rasped, voice steady despite the tension. Silas revealed his hand. 4 nines. The crowd gasped, the room holding its breath. Jed laid his cards down, triumphant. Full house. The room erupted in cheers and applause. For a moment, Jed forgot the months of digging, the endless dirt, the aching hope that had driven him. The gold dust and coins were his. He'd risked everything and won. As Jed gathered his winnings, Silas tipped his hat, respect glinting in his gaze. That night, fortune finally favored the bold, and Jed's fate was forever changed. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling stories. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on new tales of adventure and suspense. Imagine walking through a dense forest, unaware that above and below the ground, trees are carrying on a silent conversation. This isn't science fiction. It's real. Trees communicate using a sophisticated system of chemical signals and underground networks that rival any social system. When a tree is attacked by insects, it releases airborne chemicals that warn neighboring trees, prompting them to boost their own defenses by producing bitter compounds or toxins. But the real marvel lies beneath the soil. Here, tree roots are connected by vast webs of fungi, known as mycorrhizal networks, which act like an underground internet. Through these networks, trees share nutrients, water, and even chemical messages. A mother tree can send extra sugars to her saplings, or help a sick neighbor recover by transferring vital resources. Some trees can even sabotage competitors by sending negative signals that inhibit their growth. This hidden dialogue creates a supportive community, where trees help one another thrive, share resources, and react to threats collectively. Next time you wander through a forest, remember, every rustle of leaves and stretch of roots is part of a complex, unseen conversation that sustains life in remarkable ways. Like and subscribe for more mind-blowing facts about the natural world. On moonlit streets of Japan, whispers warn of Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman. According to legend, she appears wearing a surgical mask, her long black hair partially hiding a grotesque secret. She stops lone travelers, especially children, and asks in a chilling voice, "Am I beautiful?" If you answer yes, she slowly removes her mask to reveal a gaping, blood-red mouth slit from ear to ear. Then she repeats, "Am I beautiful now?" A no brings swift, violent death. A yes, and she carves your mouth to mimic hers, condemning you to a fate like hers. Some say clever answers or distracting her with candies can allow escape, but few dare test their luck. The origins of Kuchisake Onna trace back to the Edo period, rooted in tales of a jealous samurai who mutilated his unfaithful wife in a fit of rage. More modern versions emerged in the 1970s, sparking mass panic among schoolchildren across Japan, leading to police escorts and parental warnings. Real-life crimes and urban anxieties have fueled her legend, keeping the slit-mouthed woman alive in the shadows of Japanese folklore, a haunting reminder of beauty, betrayal, and vengeance. Like and subscribe. Abandoned playground, echoes, haunted places, creepy atmosphere, urban decay, forgotten memories, childhood nostalgia, eerie sounds, mysterious events.
Ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly improve at something, while others struggle to make progress? The secret often lies in consistent, intentional practice paired with effective tracking. One powerful way to supercharge your learning is to set up a skill challenge calendar. Here's how it works. Choose a skill you want to develop, whether it's painting, coding, playing an instrument, or even cooking a new dish. Next, create a simple calendar, digital or paper, dedicated solely to this skill. Mark each day you practice, even if it's just for 10 minutes. The visual cue of seeing your streak grow is incredibly motivating and helps build momentum. It transforms your journey from a vague goal into a concrete, daily action that's easy to follow. Over time, you'll notice patterns emerge. Maybe you're more productive in the evenings, or you hit a plateau after a week. Use these insights to adjust your approach, making learning more efficient and enjoyable. Most importantly, tracking keeps you accountable and turns practice into a rewarding routine that's hard to break. This simple habit can dramatically accelerate your progress and deepen your engagement with the skill. Like and subscribe for more productivity tips and skill-building strategies.
The old house creaked as the clock struck midnight. Shadows stretched and danced across the dim hallway, but Sam crept forward, clutching a small, cold key he had found beneath a loose floorboard earlier that evening. He'd seen the locked door at the end of the corridor for years, always forbidden, always ignored. Tonight, the key seemed to call to him, whispering secrets only he could hear. With trembling hands, he slid it into the ancient lock, his heart hammering in his chest, and slowly turned. The door groaned open, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling down into darkness. Sam hesitated, breath shallow, but curiosity tugged him onward. Step by step, he descended, the air growing colder and heavier with each movement. At the bottom, a faint, flickering light beckoned. Sam followed it to a forgotten room filled with old toys, faded photographs, and a thick layer of dust that coated every surface. In the center sat a music box, its lid slightly ajar. He wound it carefully, and a haunting melody filled the air, echoing softly in the silence. Suddenly, the shadows shifted, and Sam caught a glimpse of a familiar face in a cracked mirror. His own, but older, eyes wide with warning and fear. The melody stopped abruptly. The air stilled, thick with tension. Heart pounding, Sam bolted back upstairs, slamming the door behind him, the key left forgotten in the lock as the house settled once more into silence. Like and subscribe for more thrilling tales.
Every night, as the house surrendered to darkness, Anna tugged her blanket up to her chin, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Above her room, the attic stairs groaned at midnight, each creak slow and deliberate, echoing through the silence. She told her parents, but they only smiled, dismissing it as the house settling or the wind playing tricks. Tonight, Anna lay awake, heart pounding, counting each sound as it descended. 1, 2, 3. The footsteps stopped just outside her door. She squeezed her eyes shut, breath caught, willing it to pass. The door handle rattled softly, then stilled. Silence pressed in. She dared a glance. The door was ajar, a narrow sliver of darkness. In that gap, a pale hand appeared, fingers impossibly thin, curling around the edge, tapping softly on the wood. Anna's voice caught in her throat. She pulled the covers over. Liked this spooky tale? Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more chilling stories that'll keep you up at night. Her head, trembling, praying for morning. When sunlight finally spilled in, her door stood wide open. Her parents found her curled in the corner, eyes wide with terror, clutching a scrap of cloth torn from a nightgown, one neither of them recognized. Upstairs, the attic stairs waited, untouched by any living foot.
At midnight, the nursery was silent, except for the soft, ticking breaths of porcelain. Clara stared at the child's figurine on her shelf, its glassy eyes reflecting the cold moonlight filtering through the curtains. She'd heard the rumor whispered among the neighborhood kids. If you whispered a wish to it, the figurine would grant exactly what you asked for. Her voice trembled as she leaned closer, barely daring to speak. I wish Mom would stop yelling at me. The figurine's painted lips seemed to curl into a faint, cruel smile. The next morning, Mom's mouth was sewn shut with invisible thread, her eyes wide with terror, unable to scream or speak. Clara sobbed, begging the figurine to undo her wish, but it only blinked once, slowly, as if savoring her despair. Desperate, Clara whispered again, I wish Mom could speak, please. I'll be good. That night, her mother's lips split open violently, blood streaming down her chin as guttural words poured out. Words not her own, curses in a language Clara didn't recognize. The figurine's tiny porcelain hand twitched. Clara tried to smash it, but it would not break, no matter how hard she struck. She realized, too late, that every wish was a trap, and the only thing it truly granted was regret. The figurine smiled wider, and Clara's voice vanished forever. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more eerie tales, dark fantasies, and supernatural stories that'll leave you sleeping with the lights on.
Picture a stone so striking that ancient travelers believed it held the power to protect and unite. Rhodonite, with its vibrant pink hues laced with black veins, is more than just a beautiful gem. In the heart of the Ural Mountains, people once carried rhodonite amulets, convinced they would ward off danger and guide them safely home through treacherous paths. This gem was often tucked into the satchels of children, sewn into clothing, or set into talismans, believed to foster courage and strengthen bonds among loved ones. Its name, derived from the Greek word for rose, hints at its beauty, but its reputation for healing hearts, both literally and emotionally, set it apart from other stones. In ancient communities, rhodonite was crushed into powders and used in potions to calm tempers, soothe emotional wounds, and mend fractured relationships. Warriors sought its energy before battle, hoping the stone would grant them bravery, resilience, and shield them from harm. Even today, rhodonite's legacy endures as a symbol of compassion and emotional balance. a timeless reminder of the enduring power people once ascribed to the wonders of the earth and the mysteries they inspired. Like and subscribe for more insights into the world of crystals and their healing properties. Rhodonite's powerful symbolism is truly captivating.
In the heart of a whispering forest where silver moonbeams danced between ancient trees lived a small rabbit named Riley. One dreamy night, Riley peered from her cozy burrow and noticed flickering shadows gliding softly across the mossy ground. Curiosity twinkled in her bright eyes as she tiptoed outside, her ears quivering with excitement. The forest was alive with gentle music, crickets strumming, owls hooting, and leaves rustling in a soft, rhythmic song. Riley followed the glowing shadows deeper into the woods, her tiny paws barely making a sound on the cool earth. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a magical parade. Fireflies carried glowing lanterns, hedgehogs wore hats made of delicate petals, and a wise old turtle led the way, humming a tune only the moon understood. The parade wound through shimmering ferns, past sparkling streams that whispered secrets, and beneath archways of glowing mushrooms that lit the path like stars. Though the forest seemed vast and mysterious, Riley felt safe among her new friends, discovering that wonderful adventures waited just beyond her burrow's entrance. As the parade slowly faded into the soft light of dawn, Riley hopped home, her heart full of starlight, wonder, and dreams yet to come. Like the story? Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more magical adventures. Imagine standing atop a sun-drenched cliff, a gentle sea breeze swirling around you, as the Aegean sun slowly sinks behind blue-domed churches and pristine whitewashed houses. Welcome to Santorini, the crown jewel of the Greek islands, where every corner reveals a new marvel. Famed for its breathtaking sunsets in Oia, Santorini invites you to meander through narrow cobblestone alleys lined with vibrant bougainvillea, quaint cafes, and charming boutiques. The island's volcanic past is etched in its dramatic cliffs, offering panoramic views over the caldera's deep sapphire waters. History lovers will be drawn to the ancient ruins of Akrotiri, a Minoan city remarkably preserved in volcanic ash, while beach seekers can relax on the island's unique black and red sand beaches, each with its own distinct character. Culinary adventures await in family-run tavernas, where you can savor fresh seafood, creamy fava, and tangy tomato keftedes, all perfectly paired with crisp local Assyrtiko wine. As dusk falls, Santorini transforms into a canvas of gold and indigo, an unforgettable spectacle that captivates every visitor. In Santorini, every moment feels like a postcard come to life, blending natural beauty, rich culture, and warm hospitality into an experience you'll cherish forever. Like this video? Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more travel inspiration and destination guides.
The Lennox mansion loomed before me, its windows dark and empty, daring anyone to enter. I pushed open the heavy front door, the hinges screeching in protest. Inside, the air was cold and damp, thick with the scent of mold and something older, something almost alive. My flashlight beam danced along tattered wallpaper and shattered chandeliers, illuminating the silent chaos of a world left behind. Each step echoed through the vast halls, my heart pounding in my chest with every creak of the floorboards beneath me. Then I found it. A dining room frozen in a moment of terror. Plates still set, glasses half filled, but the guests, mannequins or something far more sinister, sat slumped in their chairs, faces twisted in agony and fear. My breath caught as a cold whisper grazed my ear, chilling me to the bone. "You shouldn't be here." I spun around, searching the gloom, but saw only shifting shadows. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut with a deafening bang, and my flashlight flickered out. Darkness swallowed me whole. In the suffocating silence, I felt a presence, heavy, oppressive, closing in around me. The whisper returned, closer now, more menacing. "You'll never leave." If you survived the night, hit that like button and subscribe for more chilling horror stories. The attic door was never meant to be opened. That's what Anna's mother whispered, voice trembling, whenever Anna asked about the heavy, padlocked door at the top of the stairs. Today, curiosity gnawed at Anna until she couldn't resist any longer. A thunderstorm rattled the old house as she crept upstairs, the cold metal key she'd found hidden in her mother's drawer clutched tightly in her palm. The lock snapped open with a metallic sigh that echoed through the silent hallway. The air behind the door was thick, stale, and smelled of dust and forgotten years. Boxes cast twisted, monstrous shadows, but Anna's gaze was drawn to the far corner, where a cracked mirror stood oddly facing the wall. Her reflection shouldn't have been visible, yet there she was, pale, wide-eyed, smiling back at her. The mirror Anna beckoned with a crooked finger. Lightning flashed, and the attic filled with a deafening, inhuman scream that seemed to claw at her very soul. Anna's knees buckled beneath her. She shut her eyes and shrieked, the world spinning wildly. Suddenly she was outside, barefoot on the cold lawn, her throat raw, rain stinging her skin. The house loomed silent behind her. She glanced up. The attic window glowed faintly. Her own terrified face stared down, mouth stretched wide in a silent scream, trapped forever inside. Like and subscribe for more eerie explorations of the unknown. What secrets would you uncover in the attic?
Every evening at dusk, the townsfolk of Eldergrove gathered in the square, listening as the ancient clock tower's bells chimed with a melody that seemed to linger longer than any ordinary sound. No one suspected what lay hidden above the gears and chimes, behind a heavy oak door dusted with centuries of secrets. Young Elsie, curious and brave, climbed the winding staircase one crisp autumn night, determined to discover why the bell's songs shimmered in the air, refusing to fade like any normal echo should. As she reached the top, she found a tiny room bathed in golden light. There, a cluster of crystal birds perched delicately upon the bells, their translucent wings catching the fading sun's rays. With each swing of the bell, the birds fluttered gently, scattering flecks of light that danced and twirled through the town below. Elsie watched, breathless, as the birds seemed to harmonize perfectly with the bells, weaving sound and light into a magical spell of peace and calm. She realized the town's serene evenings were no accident, but the work of these secret guardians. Grateful for their shimmering presence, Elsie tiptoed away, promising to keep the secret safe. And every night thereafter, the bells sang on, watched over by the crystal wings that made their melody glow. Please like and subscribe for more exciting content.
Oliver swept the brass shavings from the workbench, his fingers stained with oil and curiosity. Master Bellamy, the town's revered clockmaker, had stepped out, leaving Oliver alone with the grand orrery, a masterpiece of spinning planets and ticking gears. As he carefully polished the smallest cog, his hand brushed a hidden lever beneath the base. The orrery's central sphere spun wildly, glowing an eerie blue, and a strange whispering wind filled the workshop. Suddenly, Oliver's surroundings shifted. The unfinished clock on the shelf was now complete, its hands spinning backward with a steady rhythm. He stumbled to the window and gasped. Outside, the cobblestone street bustled with townsfolk dressed in fashions he'd only seen in old sketches and dusty books. Realizing the orrery had bent time itself, Oliver's heart pounded as he returned to the workbench. With trembling fingers, he reversed the lever's motion, and the world snapped back, the clock unfinished, the street as he remembered it. Master Bellamy returned, eyes twinkling knowingly. "Curiosity," he said softly, "is the true key to invention." Oliver smiled, guarding the secret that would forever change his understanding of time and the mysteries it held. Like and subscribe for more.
In the heart of a rain-soaked city, a tiny clock shop sat wedged between towering buildings. Each morning, Mr. Finch polished the brass handles and carefully wound the clocks, while Miss Ellery arranged delicate gears on velvet trays with steady hands. They spoke little, but their movements were in perfect tandem, repairing timepieces with silent understanding and shared patience. One evening, as thunder rattled the window panes and shadows danced across the walls, a peculiar pocket watch arrived, its hands frozen, its case engraved with a faded inscription worn by time. Together they peered inside, discovering a hidden compartment containing a crumpled photograph of two strangers laughing beneath a blooming cherry tree. As they worked, laughter slowly filled the shop, echoing the joy captured in the picture. With gentle care, they coaxed the watch's hands to life, and as the mechanism whirred steadily, Mr. Finch offered Miss Ellery his arm. They stepped outside, rain pattering softly on their shoulders, and walked beneath the city's flickering lights, each heartbeat a quiet promise that sometimes fixing what's broken leads to something beautifully whole. Please like and subscribe for more content.
In the heart of Gear Spring City, a curious cat named Tinker prowled the rooftops. Tinker was no ordinary feline. Her paws clicked softly on the metal tiles, powered by tiny gears and springs in her clockwork body. One stormy evening, the city's great tower shuddered violently, and the synchronized bells that kept Gear Spring ticking fell completely silent. Doors jammed shut, trams stalled mid-route, and streetlights blinked out one by one, throwing the entire city into chaos. Tinker's emerald eyes flickered with fierce determination. She darted swiftly from rooftop to rooftop, leaping over tangled wires and dodging plumes of scalding steam. On silent, precise paws, she slipped through a narrow vent and into the tower's mechanical heart. Inside, the main cog had jammed, wedged tight by a fallen bolt. Tinker's nimble tail, tipped with a tiny wrench, twisted and turned the bolt free. The massive gears churned back to life. Lights blazed brightly, bells chimed joyfully, and the city sighed in relief. Perched atop the tower, Tinker watched as Gear Spring pulsed with order once more, her clockwork heart ticking steadily in time with the city she loved. Like and subscribe for more Tinker's adventures.
In the heart of Gearsby, a city of humming cogs and shining brass, lived a peculiar feline named Cinder. Unlike ordinary cats, Cinder's heart ticked with the steady rhythm of a tiny clock, and her tail ended in a polished silver bell that chimed with every graceful movement. She belonged to the Tanners, a kind family who once rescued her from a rain-soaked alley, nursing her back to health with warmth and care. One misty evening, the Tanners wandered deep into the labyrinthine alleys of the city, losing their way as thick fog rolled in and the street lamps flickered uncertainly. Sensing their absence, Cinder's tail began to tingle with urgent energy. She leapt onto the highest rooftop and, with a swift flick, rang her silver bell. The chime resonated through winding streets, a clear melody that twined around every corner and echoed softly against the brass walls. The lost Tanners, shivering and anxious, paused as a pure, sweet note drifted faintly to their ears. Drawn by the familiar sound, they followed each echo carefully, step by cautious step, until the fog finally parted. There, waiting with glowing eyes and a gentle purr, was Cinder. She led them home, her bell chiming softly with every stride, a shining beacon of hope and guidance in the Clockwork City's misty night. Please like and subscribe for more stories.
In the silent shimmer of midnight, a peculiar feline slinked along the cobblestones. Its brass fur glinted beneath the moon, gears whirring softly within delicate joints. This was Whiskers, the ingenious clockwork cat, crafted with precision and built for more than mere companionship. Tonight, Whiskers had a vital purpose. The villainous Baron Blackthorn's lair loomed ahead, a fortress of shadows and steel, guarded by silent sentinels and deadly traps. Undeterred, Whiskers slipped through a narrow gap in the iron gate, paws barely stirring the dust beneath. Inside, the lair buzzed with danger, tripwires stretched taut, pressure plates hidden beneath the floor, and darting red beams crisscrossed the corridors. Whiskers' glowing eyes flickered, calculating every move with mechanical precision. With a nimble leap, it evaded a swinging blade, then paused to extend a tiny screwdriver from its paw, delicately disabling a complex lock with a careful twist. The heart of the lair pulsed with forbidden energy. A glowing sphere sat atop a pedestal, humming softly. Whiskers approached cautiously, tail twitching in anticipation. Its mechanical jaw opened, releasing a small magnet that latched firmly onto the sphere's surface. In one swift, fluid motion, Whiskers darted back, weaving expertly through the labyrinth of danger. As dawn broke, Whiskers emerged into the cool morning air, mission complete. The precious sphere safely secured within its intricate gears. Please like and subscribe for more thrilling adventures with Whiskers, the Clockwork Cat.
What if a simple fog could bring an entire city to its knees? In December 1952, London was engulfed in a thick, yellowish haze that would become infamous as the Great Smog. For 5 days, the city's bustling streets, homes, and iconic landmarks vanished under a dense blanket of toxic air. The culprit? The widespread burning of low-grade coal to heat homes and power factories, releasing massive amounts of soot, smoke, and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. A period of cold weather trapped these pollutants close to the ground, creating a lethal cocktail that reduced visibility to just a few meters. Public transport ground to a halt. Ambulances struggled to navigate the streets, and even indoor events were canceled as the smoke seeped into buildings. The true horror emerged as hospitals filled with patients suffering from severe respiratory distress, many of whom were elderly or had pre-existing conditions. By the time the skies finally cleared, at least 4,000 people had died, with later estimates suggesting the death toll may have reached 12,000. This disaster exposed the hidden dangers of rapid industrial and urban growth, forcing lawmakers to confront the environmental and health consequences of unchecked pollution. The tragedy led directly to the Clean Air Act of 1956, a landmark law that marked a turning point in environmental protection and public health policy in Britain. Like and subscribe for more historical content.
What if a single artifact could rewrite what we know about ancient Britain? In 1857, workers dredging the River Thames in London made an astonishing discovery. A dazzling bronze shield, adorned with intricate swirling designs and red enamel, unlike anything seen before. Known as the Battersea Shield, this masterpiece was never meant for battle. Its delicate craftsmanship and thin bronze suggest it was a ceremonial object, possibly an offering to the river gods. The shield's artistry reveals a sophisticated culture with advanced metalworking skills and a deep spiritual connection to nature and the world around them. Yet, its true purpose remains a riddle. Why was such an exquisite piece cast into the Thames? Was it a tribute, a symbol of power, or a plea for protection? The Battersea Shield's mysterious origins and remarkably preserved condition continue to fascinate historians and archaeologists alike. Over 2,000 years later, it stands as a silent witness to a world where myths, rituals, and artistry collided along the riverbanks of ancient Britain, inviting us to ponder the beliefs and lives of those who created it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more fascinating stories about history, archaeology, and the mysteries of the past.
At the annual Aquarium Gala, all eyes were on the prized painting, the majestic sardine. But beneath the shimmering lights and glittering gowns, a band of tuxedoed masterminds waddled into action, the Penguins. Their leader, Don Flippers, had a plan so slick it could only have come from the Antarctic. Stage 1. Distraction. While Rico, the acrobat, performed a triple backflip, the humans applauded, completely unaware that Pablo was already tapping the glass with a sardine-shaped magnet, loosening the frame ever so slightly. Stage 2. Infiltration. Lola, the stealthiest penguin, slipped through the snack table, camouflaged by shrimp cocktails and a strategically placed napkin, inching closer to the security panel. Stage 3. The heist. With the crowd mesmerized by Rico's antics, Don Flippers and his crew hoisted the painting onto their backs, tip-flapping toward the exit. Just as they reached the door, the curator shouted, "Stop! Who's stealing the art?" Don Flippers turned, grinned, and declared, "Relax, we're just here for the early bird special." The room erupted in laughter, and the penguins waddled out, painting in tow, proving once and for all that crime really does pay, especially when you're dressed for the occasion. Like and subscribe for more wild and wacky stories.
Maya crept down the hallway, heart pounding louder with each step. The old house was silent except for the soft whisper of her bare feet on the creaking wooden floor. In her hand, she clutched a brass key she'd discovered hidden in a dusty box in the attic, its teeth worn smooth by time and mystery. She'd seen the locked door at the end of the hall her whole life, but never dared to approach it. Until tonight, when curiosity finally overcame fear. The key slid into the lock with a satisfying, almost echoing click. Maya hesitated, breath held, then slowly turned the knob. The door swung open, revealing a room bathed in cold moonlight filtering through a cracked window. Dust motes floated lazily in the air, disturbed by the faintest breeze. On a small ancient table sat a single photograph, a young girl, almost identical to Maya, smiling back at her with eyes full of secrets. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She stepped closer, noticing a faded note tucked behind the frame. It read, "You are never alone." A chill ran down her spine as she realized the handwriting matched her own. She glanced nervously around the room. The shadows seemed to shift and lengthen, as if alive. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her with a deafening bang. Maya spun around, key still clenched tightly in her hand, heart racing wildly. Silence settled like a heavy fog. In that moment, she understood. Some mysteries are meant to stay locked away forever. Please like and subscribe for more stories.
Imagine stepping outside after a rainstorm and spotting a vibrant arc of colors stretching across the sky. That magical display is the result of a remarkable natural process. When sunlight passes through countless raindrops still lingering in the air, each drop acts like a tiny prism. As the sunlight enters a raindrop, it slows down and bends, splitting into its different colors. This bending is called refraction. The light then reflects off the inside surface of the drop and exits, bending once more. Each color bends at a slightly different angle, red at the top, violet at the bottom. So the light fans out into a spectrum. With millions of raindrops doing this simultaneously, their combined effect creates the sweeping arc we see as a rainbow. The reason you see a rainbow only when the sun is behind you and rain is ahead is all about the precise angles at which the light leaves the raindrops and enters your eyes. This delicate interplay of light and water reveals nature's hidden artistry. Next time you glimpse a rainbow, remember, you're witnessing sunlight's secret palette, unveiled through a graceful dance with falling rain. Liked the explanation? Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating facts about the natural world. Eli crept through the attic, chasing the source of odd whispers only he could hear. Moonlight spilled over a dusty box, inside which lay a strange mask, smooth, silver, and humming softly with an otherworldly energy. Drawn by curiosity and a strange pull, Eli lifted the mask and pressed it to his face. Instantly, the world sharpened, colors brightened, sounds clarified, and his body tingled with newfound strength and agility. Downstairs, a sudden scream shattered the midnight calm. Heart pounding, Eli dashed to his window, spotting flickering flames consuming Mrs. Rivera's apartment next door. Without hesitation, he leapt from his window, landing lightly as if gravity had forgotten him. Racing through thick smoke and debris, he found Mrs. Rivera trapped behind a heavy fallen beam. Summoning strength he never knew he had, Eli lifted the beam and helped her to safety. Neighbors gathered, eyes wide with awe at the boy who seemed to glow faintly in the moonlight. As sirens wailed closer, Eli slipped away into the shadows, mask in hand, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. He wondered what other secrets the mask might hold, but tonight he was simply grateful to have been there at the right moment to save a life. Please like and subscribe.
Imagine walking through a centuries-old cathedral, sunlight streaming through vibrant stained glass, and feeling the cool touch of carved stone beneath your fingertips. What if those intricate designs and patterns weren't just decorative, but encoded messages left by master builders? Medieval craftspeople embedded complex codes into these grand structures, often using geometric patterns, symbolic animals, or mathematical ratios. For example, the labyrinth in Chartres Cathedral's floor isn't just for contemplation. It mirrors the journey of the soul, guiding pilgrims through a spiritual puzzle filled with meaning. Gargoyles and grotesques, perched high above, sometimes represent moral lessons or ward off evil, but some are arranged to point toward hidden relics or secret chambers. Even the numbers of columns, arches, and steps can carry meaning. The number 3 for the Holy Trinity, or 7 for spiritual perfection. These cryptic details were a way to communicate knowledge, faith, or warnings to those who could interpret them, weaving a silent language into the very stone itself. inviting discovery across centuries. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more fun and engaging content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on new videos.
The crew of the Aurora drifted silently in orbit, eyes fixed on the console as a sequence of pulses echoed through the comms. It was a signal, repeating every 90 seconds, impossible to trace or identify. Commander Lee frowned, carefully decoding the strange patterns while Dr. Ramos recorded the eerie audio. As the message slowly unfolded, words materialized on the screen. "We see you." The temperature in the cabin dropped sharply. Frost began creeping over the instruments, fogging the viewports with an unnatural chill. The lights flickered erratically. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, tension thickening the air, but Lee pressed on, determined to respond. She spoke into the mic. "Who are you?" Silence answered, deep and unyielding. Suddenly, the ship's systems rebooted without warning. Alarms blared throughout the cabin. A shadow darted past the window, impossible in the vacuum outside. Ramos clutched the message printout as the airlock cycled open by itself. The crew rushed to seal it, but a blinding white light flooded the cabin, overwhelming their senses. One by one, their voices faded from the comms, each transmission cutting off mid-sentence. When rescue arrived weeks later, the Aurora was intact, drifting in eerie silence. Not a single trace of the crew remained. Ellie always wondered what secrets her old house might hold. One rainy afternoon, she dragged a wobbly chair beneath the attic hatch. With a creak, she pushed it open and climbed into the darkness above. Cobwebs brushed her face as she shuffled past dusty boxes filled with forgotten memories. Suddenly, her foot nudged a loose floorboard. Curious, she pried it up, revealing a soft, warm glow beneath. Heart pounding, Ellie crawled through the narrow gap and tumbled into a breathtaking scene. Towering trees with silver leaves shimmering in the light, floating lanterns drifting lazily, and a sky swirling with colors she'd never seen before. Tiny creatures darted past, giggling softly, and a gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of cinnamon and wildflowers. A fox with emerald eyes approached and bowed gracefully, offering her a delicate golden key. Ellie hesitated, then accepted it with trembling hands. The key shimmered in her palm, and suddenly a door appeared in the trunk of a giant tree nearby. She glanced back at the attic's shadowy opening, feeling the safety of home, before stepping through the door, her heart filled with wonder and the thrill of the unknown. The attic, she realized, was much more than just a place for forgotten things. It was a gateway to a hidden world waiting to be discovered. Rain streaked the window as Lily pressed her nose to the glass, the world outside blurring into shimmering rivers of light. The midnight train rattled along lonely tracks, its carriages nearly empty except for a few scattered passengers lost in their own worlds. At the next stop, a conductor in a cobalt blue coat approached, his eyes sparkling with a mysterious light. "Ticket, please," he said, voice echoing like distant bells. Lily handed over her crumpled ticket, but instead of tearing it, he tapped it gently with a silver-tipped cane. Suddenly, the carriage glowed softly. Shadows twisted into playful shapes. Suitcases sprouted tiny legs and danced down the aisle, their laughter like chimes. A sleek cat with emerald eyes perched atop a velvet seat, winking knowingly at Lily. She gasped as the train lifted smoothly above the tracks, gliding through clouds bathed in moonlight. Stars drifted past the windows, close enough to touch, twinkling like scattered diamonds. The conductor tipped his hat with a smile. "Next stop, anywhere your heart desires." Lily smiled back, heart pounding with wonder and excitement. She knew this journey would change her forever. The train rolled on, carrying her into a world where magic was as real and endless as the midnight sky itself. Max always kept to the shadows in the bustling halls of Maplewood Middle School. His voice was soft, his steps cautious and his gaze fixed on the floor, avoiding the eyes of passing students. One rainy afternoon, while waiting for his mom outside the old thrift store, Max spotted a pair of worn sneakers glowing faintly beneath a pile of coats. They shimmered like hidden treasure, catching his attention despite the gray sky. Curiosity nudged him closer, and before he knew it, he'd slipped them on. The moment the laces tightened, Max felt a gentle pulse shoot up his legs, as if the shoes were alive. The world seemed brighter, sounds sharper, and his heart beat with a new rhythm. As he walked, each step felt lighter, surer, as if the shoes whispered encouragement. That evening, Max found himself darting through puddles, leaping over cracks, his laughter echoing against the walls of his neighborhood. The next day at school, when asked to join a relay game, he didn't hesitate. His heart raced, not with fear, but with excitement and courage. The sneakers carried him forward, swift and steady, as if they knew the way. His classmates cheered, and for the first time, Max smiled back, his confidence shining as brightly as his enchanted shoes. Morning sunlight flickered through the dense canopy, landing on a forgotten camera, half buried in moss and leaves. Its lens blinked awake as a small, furry creature with curious golden eyes cautiously approached. Sniffing the unfamiliar object, the creature circled it once, then scampered off, tail flicking with a mix of curiosity and caution. The camera silently followed its journey, leaping gracefully over tangled roots, pausing to drink from a clear, bubbling stream and foraging carefully beneath a thick carpet of ferns. Suddenly, a distant bird call echoed through the trees, making the creature freeze in place. It darted behind a sturdy tree trunk, peeking out as a gentle deer wandered past, unaware of the hidden observer. Satisfied the coast was clear, the creature emerged, nibbling a ripe berry before clambering up a fallen log to bask in a warm patch of sunlight filtering through the leaves. As noon approached, the creature stretched languidly, then nestled into a hollow, grooming its soft fur with quick, practiced strokes. Shadows grew long and the forest began to cool. The creature's ears twitched at the faint rustle of leaves nearby. It vanished silently among the thick undergrowth. The camera, its battery dwindling, captured the last flick of the creature's tail before dusk fully reclaimed the forest's quiet embrace. At precisely midnight, the quiet streets of Maple Lane were broken by a faint clatter. Luna, a golden retriever with a nose for trouble, pricked her ears and slid off her cozy bed. In the dim glow of the porch light, two masked figures crept toward the Johnsons' back door, moving cautiously. Luna's heart thumped loudly in her chest. She slipped silently through her doggy door, paws barely making a sound on the cool grass. As the burglars fiddled nervously with the lock, Luna let out a sharp, determined bark that shattered the stillness. The intruders froze in place. One hissed at her to hush, but Luna lunged forward, teeth bared, forcing them to stumble backward in surprise. They darted toward the alley, but Luna gave chase, her bark echoing down the block like a warning. Lights flicked on in nearby houses as neighbors peered out their windows, some grabbing phones to call for help. The burglars, startled by the sudden commotion and Luna's relentless pursuit, dropped their stolen loot and fled into the night, disappearing into the shadows. By the time the police arrived, Luna stood proudly by the recovered bag, tail wagging with satisfaction. Maple Lane slept soundly once more, knowing their brave hero watched over them through the darkest hours. Rain hammered the platform as Clara clutched her battered suitcase, heart pounding beneath her coat. The midnight train hissed and beckoned, its doors yawning open like a dark mouth. She hurried inside, scanning the carriage numbers. Her instructions were clear. Carriage 7, northbound express, but the flickering sign above her head read 12. Confused, she hesitated, then took a seat, the secret cargo heavy in her lap. The train lurched forward before she could move. Clara's breath caught. The passengers around her didn't match the descriptions she'd memorized. A man in a gray hat eyed her suitcase, shifting uneasily in his seat. The train's dim lights flickered, casting long shadows. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. "Wrong train. Get off at next stop." Outside, darkness blurred past the rain-streaked windows. The gray-hatted man stood, blocking the aisle, his hand slipping inside his coat. Clara's mind raced. She pressed the emergency button, feigning a faint. The train screeched to a halt, doors snapping open. Clara bolted into the cold rain, clutching the secret cargo tightly, melting into the night as the man's angry shout echoed behind her. The suitcase remained closed, its dangerous mystery intact, for now. Every night, when the world hushed and the stars blinked awake, Mira climbed onto her rooftop, a folded letter clutched tightly in her hand. Across the narrow alley, in the soft glow of a single window, Elias waited patiently, a lantern beside him and a blank page ready to receive her words. They had never spoken aloud. Instead, they wrote. Mira would carefully tie her letter to a string, send it across the alley on a makeshift pulley, and then wait with bated breath for Elias's reply. Their words danced with starlight, weaving stories of secrets, fears, and dreams. Mira confessed her longing for adventure beyond the city walls, while Elias wrote of melodies he heard in the quiet night air. As the weeks passed, the letters thickened with shared laughter, silent comfort, and unspoken understanding. One evening, a fierce storm threatened to break their ritual. Still, Mira braved the cold rain, her letter trembling in the wind. She watched, heart pounding, as Elias's window creaked open and the pulley zipped swiftly across the dark space. His message read, "If you're out there, I'll always answer." Mira smiled, warmth blooming in her chest despite the storm's fury. The rain poured down, but the space between their rooftops felt smaller, their connection stronger than ever before.